On this one, we are asked to solve it. We've got to figure out what the value of a equals. And these are rational expressions on both sides, so it's the equal sign makes it a rational equation. What we're going to do first here is to try to determine what the lowest common denominator is. So I've got a 6 here, a 6a, and a 3. Well, the lowest common denominator here is definitely going to be a 6, because 3 will go into 6. And we need an a here as well, so the lowest common denominator is actually going to be a 6a, and that's going to become vitally important. That's going to be one of the very first, very important steps that we've got to do here is determine what that is. Now that we've determined what the lowest common denominator is, we're going to multiply each one of these three parts right here by that lowest common denominator, 6a. Alright, so let's get in here, and that's all I did is I took this a minus 3 over 6, multiplied it by 6a, and I took this second part, a squared minus 2a minus 3, and multiplied that by 6a. And finally this 1/3, I multiplied that by 6a. And you'll see why we want to do this. The whole goal of this is to get rid of these fractions, get rid of this denominator altogether. Okay, now when I'm multiplying 6a times this quantity here, this is the same thing. 6a, if I wrote that as a fraction, would be 6a over 1. So remember that 6a belongs on top when we're multiplying these two. So I rewrote it here. These two are the exact same. The only difference is I wrote it just to clarify that the 6a is on top. Same thing here. 6a, notice my use of parentheses here. 6a on top and top times this quantity here. Now this one I broke apart. This is 2 times 3a, which is the same thing. 2 times 3 is the same thing as 6. I just did that to make it easier because I'm going to show you how we're going to cross these off now. Now after this step here, you should not have any more fractions. So I'm going to go through each one of these here. I have a 6 on top and bottom here. I'm going to cross those off. Okay, these are both, this is 6 times a, so I can cross that off with my 6 on the bottom. Here I have a 6a on top and bottom, so I can cross both 6a's off. You can start to see how we're eliminating these, the fractions, these denominators. Now over here, finally, I've got a 3 on top and bottom. I'm going to cross those two off. Now I need to kind of look and see what I have left. What I have left here is a times a minus 3. That's where this came from. I don't have anything on the bottom. It's just over 1, so we don't write that. This one, the 6a was canceled, so I just left with what's inside the parenthesis here. And finally over here, 2, and I'm left with an a times 1. 2a times 1 is just 2a. And this is a subtraction sign here. That's where this negative sign, or this subtraction sign here came from. Okay, now I've got to take it a step further. I'm going to have to get in here, and I'm going to have to distribute this a. So I've got a times a gives me a squared, and a times negative 3 gives me negative 3a. Okay, and all of this on this side is all the same. I haven't changed anything there. Okay, the next item of business is to combine like terms. So I've got an a squared on this side and this side. I'm going to subtract a squared from this side. That way I can get it off of this side, and I'm going to subtract it from this side. Well, when I do that, I eliminate these. A squared minus a squared is 0. And an a squared minus a squared here is 0, so that made it a little bit nice. So I'm just left with 3a equals 2a minus 3a. Negative 2a minus 3 minus 2a. Well, I notice over here that I've got a negative 2a and a negative 2a. I can combine those two together, which would give me negative 4a. So now I've got a negative 3a is equal to negative 4a minus 3. Again, I combine the negative 2a and negative 2a here for my negative 4a. I need to get all of my a's on one side, and it doesn't matter which one they go to, but I'm going to go ahead and move it over here. So that means I'm going to add 4 to both sides, 4a, excuse me. If I add 4a to this side, it cancels out. If I add 4a to this side, I'm left with just a equals negative 3. So I find out on this one that a equals negative 3. Now remember, we need to check for extraneous solutions, so we're going to have to take this one and plug it back in to make sure that it's going to work. And you would plug it back into each of these a's on top and on bottom. As long as they equal each other, then this is the answer. That does work. And that's the big thing. The big thing is finding the lowest common denominator, multiplying each one of the tops, the numerators if you want to, by that amount. Then that gets rid of your fraction. Then we're just going to solve it like we would a normal quadratic or any other various equation that might arise.